Today we're going to be looking at box plots and how we can actually make them. In order to actually be able to make this, there are four vocab that we do need to talk about. First is quartile. Quartile are medians that split the data into fourths. Now, because they're medians, we do need to order the data from the smallest number to the largest number. We also have interquartile range, which you will see shortened down to IQR. An interquartile range, just like a normal range, you take the third quartile, or Q3, minus the first quartile, or Q1. Just like with a range, you take the highest number minus the smallest number, kind of the same process for quartiles. And a lot of questions is going to ask you for your 5-number summary. And you'll see your calculator will actually do this and tell you it for you. But your 5-number summary is your minimum, your first quartile, or Q1, your median, your third quartile, or Q3, and your maximum. All 5 of those numbers. And all 5 of these numbers you will need to create our box plot. And then an outlier is a number or numbers that do not fit the data by being too large or too small. And in order to find out if we have an outlier, what we are going to do is take our IQR, or our interquartile range, times 1.5. Then to see if we have a large outlier, we're going to add it to our Q3 and see if there is a number larger than that. For our small quartile, we're going to take that number and subtract it from our Q1 and see if there's a number in our data that's smaller than that. Now, like I mentioned before, our calculator will do it for us, but for now, let's find these by hand. So for example 1, we need to order our numbers from the smallest to largest. And actually looking at it, it is. Sometimes we are nice people and actually do that for you. And I only rewrote it so that way I'd have it in one solid line, because I sometimes like to physically draw in my median. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. It's an odd number, so I will have one median. I won't have to do the average. So it's going to be between, what's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I wanted to draw in a line going through that. So that way I know my median is 7. In fact, I know my smallest number is 2, and I know my largest number is 10. Now, by drawing in that line, I did split my data into 2 halves. So I'm going to find the median of the lower, I'm going to find the median of the upper. So median of the lower, there's 4 numbers, that's between these, and the number between 5 and 5 is 5. So our Q1 is 5. Same thing with our upper. It's going to be here between the first 2 and the last 2. So 8, number halfway between 8 and 9, or 8 plus 9 divided by 2, gives us 8.5. IQR, interquartile range. We're going to take our Q3 minus our Q1, So 8.5 minus 5 gives us 3.5. Now, to determine our outlier, or if we have an outlier, we're going to take our IQR, so 3.5 times 1.5, and we get 5.25. To find out if we have a small outlier, I'm going to take my Q1, minus the 5.25, I get negative 0.25. And looking at my numbers, I do not have any numbers below negative 0.25. So I don't have a small outlier. I'm going to say if I have a large outlier. So I'm going to take the 8.5 plus the 5.25. Doing so, I get 13.75. And looking at the data, I do not have any numbers larger than 13.75. So for outliers, I have none in this problem. Example 2. Example 2, unlike example 1, first, the numbers are not in order from smallest to biggest. Second, I have 10 numbers, but go ahead and order your numbers smallest to biggest. And try finding your 5-number summary, including your interquartile range and outlier. Putting this one in order from smallest to biggest, should get 2, 5, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. Doing so, I say my minimum is 2, my maximum is 12. My median number in the middle is 7. Median of the lower is 5, so my Q1 is 5. Median of the upper, or my Q3, is 9. Interquartile range, 9 minus 5 gives us 4. For our outlier, our IQR times 1.5 to get 6. So I can do 5 minus 6 to get negative 1. And I can do 9 plus 6 to get 15. Because I don't have a number smaller than negative 1 or bigger than 15, I have no outlier. On the back, like I said before, your calculator will actually find your 5-number summary for you. In fact, if you notice, these calculator steps are the same that we looked at for measures of central tendency and measures of variation. In fact, when we scrolled past a lot of these items to find our median, it also told you your minimum and your maximum. And if you remember, your Q1 and Q3 were also listed there. So let's use these calculator steps to do this next question. Remember, your Chromebooks do have the graphing calculator. So I would make sure you have those pulled up. Like I said before, make sure it is pinned to your bar for easier access. So first it says hit stat, and then enter. And then I'm going to move up, hit clear, and move down. Then I'm going to enter the data and hit enter after each number. So 65, enter, 72, 68, 64, 60, 55. And it doesn't matter if you go by rows or columns, as long as you get all the numbers in. Okay, I have all my numbers in. Next it says hit second and then mode. I'm going to go to stat, give over, hit enter. I want to calculate. And here's my entire list, just like how we did in the previous sections. If I scroll down, I notice it says minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and max. So I can actually copy these numbers then into my table. So it says my minimum is 50, my Q1 is 62.5, median is 66.5, Q3 is 72.5, my maximum is 100. To find my interquartile range, just like before, I'm going to take my Q3 minus my Q1, so 72.5 minus 62.5 gets us 10. I'm going to see if we have any outliers. So I'm going to take my IQR times 1.5. So 10 times 1.5 gets us 15. I'm going to take my Q1, 62.5, minus that number. So then 62.5 minus 15 gets us 47.5. I don't have a number smaller, so I don't have a small outlier. I'm going to take my Q3, 72.5, plus the 15. And I get 87.5. Now I do have numbers, or at least one number, larger than 87.5 in my list. Scanning through my list, the only number that is larger is 100. So I do have an outlier in this problem, and that outlier is 100. Now we're going to actually make the box plot. To make our box plot, I'm going to draw in a number line. But for this number line, I want to make sure all 5 of my 5 number summaries are listed. So I'm actually going to start here at 50, and I'll just count by tens. Now notice on how I tried keeping each of them equally spaced out. Please make sure you do that. Now I'm just going to draw in a vertical line above each of these numbers. So we're going to draw in a line above the 50, about where 62.5 is, above 66, 0.5, above 72.5, and above 100. Finally, I'm going to connect my Q1 to my Q3 to make the box. And I'm going to draw in my whiskers. There's a couple things I'm going to point out about this. First, just like with a histogram, we can kind of tell if this is a normal distribution, a uniform, a skewed left, skewed right, because this bar, our median, is not this physically between these two. It is, but it's not dead center. And this whisker is a lot longer than the other whisker. I can say that this one is skewed right. So we could compare box plots kind of in the same way we do for histograms.